back to painting and decorating. Now, while we're still on the papering theme, because the last video was a papering one, we decided the next few videos will probably be on papering. Now, on some jobs, you'll be asked to do some wallpapering where you don't actually have an edge to finish to. Some covings just actually run into the wall and are just smooth, so you have to work out how to cut the paper nice and straight across the wall and keep it nice and horizontal. Right, so what I'm going to do in this demonstration is off the top of the casing here, I'm going to put some paper on and keep it nice and straight as if the customer wants it just off there. So I've measured the paper, and the paper is 20.5 inches. So taking your tape measure, just find the 20 inches because you want a good half-inch return to cut off. Because when you plumb that line down, it doesn't mean this is plumb. So if it's out, that good half-inch, you know, you can, that gives you enough to play with. Right. So off the side of the casing, 20 inches. Make sure you put the mark below the casing. No point in putting marks that you need to wipe off. So, little mark, 20 inches, and then taking your plumb bob, which I always have in the back pocket. You just want to plumb your line. I'm actually working left-handed here because where the camera is. When I'm doing this, it sounds funny, but I always close one eye and put the mark behind the line so I can't see it. Because if I open the other eye, I can see the mark, and it just puts me off a little bit. So I always shut one eye just while I'm putting the pencil line down. That'll do, because I'm only going to put some short lengths on, because it's just a demonstration. So we've now got the vertical line on, we now want a horizontal line on, and we know where the first length is going to sit to. So when we're actually putting this line on, you want to put the mark so it's over this line, so when you put your straight edge on, you can actually see where the mark is. Taking your spirit level, off the top of the casing where you know you want your paper to be sat, that's where you want that edge. That's where you're going to be putting your straight edge when you make your first cut. And make sure you got it nice and straight in the centre. And like I say, all you need to do here is put literally one mark there, and it only has to be a fine dot and as light as you can, because you may actually have to wipe them off in the end, because they could, just a little fine dot, and then that's where your straight edge is going to go to, and you know it's over the horizontal line, sorry, the vertical line. Yeah, horizontal, vertical. Here we go. Quick look at the paper that I'm using, and this is where it is. I just chose this for the demonstration. And that's a design repeat of 64 centimetres. It's quite a lot really. So you can actually see the repeat there straight off, one there. Oh, another one there. So design repeat every 64 centimetres. And that's the straight edge I'm using to cut the paper along the top. Now it's got to be wider than your paper for this job. Let's have a look at that one. This is a Rollroy Right then, so I'm going to paste 3 lengths and then show you them going up. First length of paper, open it up. I always mark the top of my paper, so I know exactly which way is up. Right, following your vertical line first, and making sure you go above the horizontal line. Just follow that down. Only ever put a little piece on it, you know. Don't just stick it flat on the wall and then try and follow that line. Just let that side follow the line down. A lot easier. And once you're satisfied with that, taking your papering brush, spread your paper out. The reason I use a papering brush and not a spatula, you see some of these decorators using spatulas. Some papers, it just scratches the front. So I don't know how to get away with it, to be honest with you. Short standard plumb line. Always make sure your paper is nicely tucked in before you would make any marks to cut any off. And always brush from side to side, never up and down really, because you stretch the pattern. Right, we're now ready for that first cut. My first cut is going to be at the top of this casing. I'm going to peel the paper back and find the corner of the casing and make a cut up to it. And just let that go over the top. Now, I've already got my snap blade and a straight edge. So, taking your straight edge. Now, it's difficult. When I use this, I hold it. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of like that. So when it's on the wall, I'm pushing with my flat of my hand on it to keep it nice and straight. My thumb is at the back of that handle. So onto the corner of the door casing and onto the top of that little mark you made. Make sure you get this right. And then push onto the wall, keeping it nice and flat. Now obviously you've got to be able to see this mark, so don't go above it. And then just make a cut. One nice move, keeping pressure on the wall. There you go, that's the first one done. Now, I'll just do that side bit down there. Don't really need the straight edge for this. I'm going to use me guiding my finger on the wall and just pull it straight down into the corner. Sometimes I keep my hand on the paper when I'm pulling pieces off. It just helps. Right. Then all you've got to do is wipe off the paste. And on the casing as well. So next I'm going to use the spirit level off the corner of the paper again and make sure I put a mark that's over the length of the paper again. So off the corner of the paper, straighten out. Just make another little dot. nice length. Now this time you've obviously got the pattern to take into consideration. So again, half the paper, I always kind of kink the paper like that and put a little bit on the wall, never put the full amount on. And then obviously you've got to find your pattern. So I always come 1/4 of an inch away from the other paper first and then just slide it into position. Making sure don't overlap the pattern. And you can feel for that with the back of your finger, you can rub it across and you can feel if it's overlapped. Let me just get that cloth there. Then once you're satisfied with where the pattern's lying, you can spread the paper out. Check the pattern again. You can use a seam roller. I just, in the past, I've had them in my box and I just end up not using them. But you can use them. Sometimes you really do have to, because if you're doing a lot of papering, you can end up wearing down your finger nail by rubbing on the paper. I've done that, so it's it's nearly ended up wearing through. A bit silly really. So my little mark again is there. Taking my blade. This right again. So giving yourself an inch onto the other paper so you can keep it nice and straight with that other one. And then you've got to find that other little mark on that other side. Apply a fair decent bit of pressure and then one nice fluid movement. We're done. There you go. Now what I'll do, put this next piece on and then we can have a look at what's what. Not bad paper that actually. Put a little mark at the end. And then got the paper ready. Oh, yeah, got the paper ready to go. If you ever find that your pattern isn't quite sitting how you want it, always make sure it looks right in the centre of the wall at eye level. You know, you only learn by your mistakes though. That's the only thing in life. You've got to make your mistakes and then learn from them. Alright, that's one. Lovely jubbly. Right. Let's just have a quick look before I wipe the paste off. And you can see a little dot, that's all I make, a little mark. I've got to wipe that paste off. Don't leave that paste on. Ooh. Let's have a look. Where's the joint? Ooh. That's where the joint is. Don't know if you can tell. That's where the match was across. Boom. Nice and go along. You can just see pencil mark there. Oh, it's not too bad at all, that. Now, what I do with them pencil marks, I'll show you now. Because I've put them pencil marks on very lightly, they will just rub off. Just like that. Gone. Top there on that top one. Gone. And that's how you do it. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that video. Till next time.